Duh.
Thank you.
Can they quote you on that in the trailers? Guy at Comic-Con says, best show on TV, period.
Wait, can we get an exclamation point?
Like 9 exclamation points. I mean, this, you know, being in Hall H and just sort of graduating, like, this is the biggest hall at the biggest con in the world, and you see the fans, and because most of the time you guys are working in a bubble. You're in Georgia, you don't get to see this kind of interaction, so, you know, Sarah, how is it for you to come and see this?
It's wonderful. Even though I know there are some of you who are mad at me. And that's cool. We'll talk about it later. Or we won't, whatever. You know, I mean, we go and we promote this all over the place. I think we've probably been to, you know, more territories than we can possibly count. But this is our only opportunity to interact with you guys. You know, everywhere else we go, we're talking to press and we're dealing with journalists, and that's fine, but here we get it from you guys, and you're honest and you're raw, and the feedback we get from you guys is incredible. It's also really humbling. I don't know if I can see the end of this.
It's amazing.
It doesn't end.
Thank you guys.
Turn the lights off, turn the lights off.
It just sort of blends into the horizon, like as far as you can see.
It's intimidating.
Hi to the stormtroopers at the back.
I always, especially in this panel, I always wonder, like, if that girl got infected and became a zombie, like, how quickly could Hall H just turn like that? Like, how quickly would it spread? I'm sure there's a sim that you could run that would tell you the answer to that.
The apocalypse starts at Comic-Con.
Norman Reedus, Daryl Dixon, people,
Wow, it looks like Christmas in here. All these little camera phones.
Yeah.
Wow, thank you guys so much. We love each other and our job, and you guys rock. You know what I mean? So thank you so much.
Norman, the ladies seem to be all up in your business.
Everybody loves a redneck. You know what I mean?
How are you seeing Daryl this season, and how have you seen him evolve? And is there anything that you could share, even, you know, as your sort of philosophical approach to the character in season 3, without giving anything away?
Well, I mean, he's a guy that's, you know, under the thumb of his big brother Merle, and you can imagine what that would be like. Out of that, you know, being away from Merle, he's sort of finding himself needed and appreciated. And he's sort of making bonds with all these people, and he'd fight to the death for, you know, this group of people. And I think it means a lot to him. You know, Sophia meant a lot, and you know, he's sort of finding his way. He's kind of growing up. You know, I don't know. I love playing him. I keep finding new things about him all the time.
I love him so much. That's what the ladies are thinking right now.
Love you back.
Which nation? Oh, Geek Nation loves you. This is the freaking Geek Nation. What are you talking about? That's everybody. Laurie Holden, you're separated from the group now, so you have a whole separate thing that's going on. What is emotionally, what's Laurie going through at this point? I mean, what's Andrea going through? Laurie, I did the same thing to Steve Young. I called him Glenn on the show. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I just watched I like your character.
I don't want to see that. At the end of season 2, I was saved by this wonderful woman, Michonne, played by the lovely Denai. You know, it's a very different season for Andrea because she's separated from the group, and you know, it's a wonderful journey actually because she's met this alpha female, and they become very good friends, and they watch each other's back, and you know, it's wonderful storytelling as they're battling the elements in this apocalyptic world.
And did you guys, we kind of chatted briefly. I was able to, you ran over while you were shooting and gave us like a couple minutes on Talking Dead, but you and Denai bonded, you said, pretty quickly.
Yeah, Denai. She's wonderful, and we're goofy, and we make up songs, or shall I say I make up songs and sing them to her in between takes. And, you know, she's a wonderful addition to the cast, and we laugh and dance, and she's fantastic, and I think you are going to love her as Michonne.
Steven Yeun, what's up for Glenn this season? Is he gonna learn how to open his heart and accept the love he's always deserved? Like, I totally. It's so funny, you know. Glenn just seems like a guy like, this guy's never really had a girlfriend, and then this really hot girl is throwing himself at him. He's like, I don't know, man. Like, what?
I mean, he's got to, you know, he can't just like dive in. You got to play it right. You know what I mean? You got to.
No, you got to dive in.
The cards. You got to slow play the cards. With Glenn this season, it's going to be. It's really a blessing and an honor to play this part because. I get a very kind of, I think, identifiable arc of someone that starts off as a boy and he grows up into a man. And second season was kind of, first season was kind of showing that he had it in him. Second season was kind of realizing that for himself that he had that in him. And then third season is kind of just manning up and doing what he's supposed to be doing. And it's a blast. I was just gonna say, what's funny is like all these questions that we're getting are so difficult for all of us to answer, at least for me, because we can't say anything. So we just like roundabout talk about things that we just say generic things, and I apologize in advance, but
I don't. You don't have to apologize. You could be reading like the ingredients to Bisquick, and these people would be jazzed. Like they waited in line a long time. They just want to see you up close and possibly touch you a lot. But other than that,
flour, water. I don't know.
No. Glenn's really hesitant, but Steven's all in all the time. So Lauren Cohan, what can you say? What do you think? What is Maggie going through after last season? You know, like she essentially declares her love for Glenn. She's going through all this stuff. Got a lot of family stuff, like not having a farm anymore. So where is she coming from, and where do you think she's headed?
I think Maggie's pretty lucky right now because she still has more family with her left than anybody else does, and I think that the priority for her is protecting her own. And I mean, we are now thrown into an absolutely insane world. Like the farm was like a walk in the park compared to where we are now, and I think that that we've just kind of all become this one really tight family, and Maggie and Glenn certainly are super tight now, and but just as a team, I think it's really been about, I don't know, we can kind of all read each other's minds and figure out what it's taken to make it still.
Well, I think, you know, especially having come off the farm and you guys are out in the woods and you're doing tick checks every day at the end of shooting, it's like, oh, you're going indoors to prison. This must be really cushy now. And Stephen was saying, no, it's, you know, there's...
So you know what sucks? Air conditioning. I actually never thought we'd say this, but the air conditioning is like, we're complaining about being cold sometimes. Like,
really?
Okay, just rewind a minute. Yeah.
Well, just for the prison though, just so people know, like what we thought, you know, like toiling in the heat, we thought going indoors and shooting indoors was going to be a cakewalk, but I think all of us have like the black lung now or something like that. We all have the black
lung.
We have like bubonic plague. It's great. So it's good.
Yeah.
I want to welcome Denai to the panel this year. I mean, this must be amazing for you. I mean, this must be amazing for you. Just give us a little glimpse of what your life has been like since we were able to announce that you had become this character that so many people were excited about seeing. What's your life like now?
It's completely different, needless to say. It's amazing. I mean, I've been able to learn how to use a katana sword, which is just really thrilling and insanely fun, and I've been embraced by the most phenomenal group of TV makers ever. So, I mean, I'm really having a great time right now. And just like working with these guys has been really phenomenal. It's really kind of life imitating art, as Laurie was talking about. Like, they just embraced me with so much love that I had no choice but to really just open up and just feel warm and fuzzy all the time, regardless of the fact that I'm in an apocalyptic world.
Because you know, everyone, you know, I'm sure your job. I'm sure it's an exhausting day that everyone has. But I think, when I think about you in particular, you're certainly one of the most physical characters because you're swinging a giant sword and you're kicking things in the face. So, like, what does the end of your day look like when you come back from work?
You know what? It's really all good. I mean, interestingly, I learned early on about the magic of going to this natural food store and getting all these really good, like, kind of like natural, like, health supplement things like cherries. I don't know if everyone knows this, really good for the joints and the muscles. It's just cherries, but you have to eat a whole bucket, so they actually make them into a little pill. So, you know, stuff like that have really been just helping me like feel really good at the end of the day. A couple times I'm like, are we done? Are we done? No, just a couple more, you know? So, I mean, I actually have really been enjoying it. And then there's times I'll just, you know, you crash and you crash hard, but it feels good at the end of the day, actually.
Now, I also want to welcome David Morrissey here, who's new to the cast, who... I kind of nerded out on you a little before. I was like, I loved when you were on Doctor Who. But David Morrissey, you're a phenomenal actor. What was it like to come into this sort of pre-existing... I mean, obviously, Woodbury is a little separate for the time being, I would imagine. But what does it feel like coming into this show that already has such an iconic place in pop culture?
Well, I came into the show as a fan. I love the show. I'd known Andy for a long time, so when it came on in the UK, I was really glued to it. And I just loved it, and when the opportunity came to work on it, I was very excited. I knew it had a great cast, and I knew it had great writing and great production values, but the thing that I can never prepare you for is walking on a set and finding that it also has a fantastic crew. And it's a great family down there. It works, the set works really, really well, and people want to be there. You know, people want to go to work and work on this show, and to join that team has just been such a privilege for me. So it's a blast. I mean, I'm sitting here now in front of you, lot. It's like, I keep pinching myself. It's like amazing, you know, and it's great to be at Comic-Con. I've always wanted to come to Comic-Con. This is the first time, so to come for the first time and be sitting on the stage and answering questions about a show like this and being part of it, it's just a dream come true for me, so it's great.
It's a good way to lose your Comic-Con virginity, for sure. Have you noticed any major differences between, like, you know, British productions, American productions? I mean, is the schedule, was it everything that you thought it would be, or were you just not mentally prepared for what this show would entail?
The heat.
Yeah.
In the UK, we don't really get the heat like you get in Georgia, and it's a very different type of heat, but it's still great. You know, the show is what gets you through the day, really, but it's... no, the production values, you know, we do shows in the UK as well. I mean, as you say, I was in Doctor Who, and that's a very well cared for show. It's very similar to this show in the fact that it's made by people who really love it. They love their show, and they're very proud of it, and they should be, and quite rightly same here, you know. So, no, the only thing that's different for me is the heat.
Yeah, it's not like in the UK, where it's like, the fog rolled in, oh, the Ripper struck again, or whatever happens there. But I know that, you know, you're certainly a character that people have been so excited about, like both of you, Denai and David. And by the way, everyone should, oh good, you're already lined up. I don't need to tell people here. Before we get to audience questions, I do have one more question for Andrew, which is, you know, where do you think Rick is at right now? I mean, like, Rick is a guy that in season 1, you know, good guy, lawful good, you might say, and now his alignment has changed. So the lines of good and bad for him seem constantly blurred. So what is it that you think keeps Rick centered?
Well, I certainly think this season you meet him at a place where he's... sorry, I'm just trying to think this one through.
Push your eyebrows.
Yeah, I'm just going to do that. Should I do that a bit more? Yeah. I think he is... I was reading a book. Has anybody read or seen The Road by Cormac McCarthy?
Yeah.
Great, right? And I'd saved reading that until now. And I think Rick is very much at that point. And it's interesting because the time scale in that book and this season, I think, is very similar. And he's been pushing people away all the way through Cormac McCarthy's book. He's going, go away, go away, go away, to protect his son. And in so doing, he loses his humanity. And I think that Rick has isolated himself from the group and in his marriage, and that's the way that he is protecting everybody. And I think that it's a really interesting place to start this season, because I think I'm currently going batshit crazy as well. Just the last few weeks, I've been going really bananas. and which is great.